Welcome back to Madam Love Production and Rope for One. I wanted to show you guys a couple of ways that you can fold up your rope, coil your rope. How do you store it? You know, if you just bunch it up, throw it in a big pile, they're all going to get tangled. You try and play and it's a mess. You don't know where the ends are. It's going to take forever. You got to figure out where stuff is. So, and even just that, put a knot in it that you then have to undo to find the other end to play with. So take the time, put away your rope after you play, you know, separate them out, unless you, of course, you have a pre-tie that you're storing, but even that, store it up nicely so it doesn't get all tangled up. So you have two options. You can start with the end, or you can start with the bite, the middle. Now, I personally always like to start on the ends because when I'm tying, I often want to have the bite or the middle of the rope as my starting point. So when I coil up my rope, and I prefer to do it around my arm, other people just loop it in your hands. Either way is fine. And then because this is such, you can either have such a big loop or you can half it and make smaller, thicker bundles. Now here's our end. Now what I usually do is I like to undo one section, grab it in the middle, and then opposite direction of where the rope comes from, I'm going to coil back around it like this, and then I have the bite left over. And I just take that and tug that underneath a previous coil, pull it tight a little bit, and there is my rope bundle. Now when I want to use it, just pull this out of my bag or my drawer, wherever I'm keeping it. Remember, cool, dry, away from light. Best place to store your rope. I can just take this bite out and then let it uncoil, and then I have already the center of the rope. And then usually, you know, you start a tie, you can start tying with that, and it saves you some time. Now if you prefer tying with the ends, of course, start with the center. You can also coil it in the air. I just like doing it on my elbow so that I have even coils. And then you can even coil this around like this. Tuck under the ends, under the last coil. This is a little bit fiddly. Here, they're tucked under, pull tight, and then you have your coil. Some people even just like having pegs, and then it's just hang the rope on a peg, and that's how they like storing the rope. But there's lots of ways of coiling your rope. Here's a bigger bundle. As you take that, here's the end. For people who don't care about the middle being exposed, one of the things that you can do is you just take the whole bundle. Sorry. Take your loop, take one of these, put it through inside, and then pull all the other bundles, all the other loops through that bundle. I'm gonna have to redo that. Sorry guys. Doesn't always work, of course, especially when you want to show it on camera. Okay, you got your loops. Go. Take one of your bites. go through, pull them around. So you went through and you're opening this up and going around all the other ones, and you're pulling it down like this, so that this kind of keeps your ropes tied together. I prefer the other one. I find it's much more sturdier, holds it in place much better, and you always have your center loop. But there's a lot of different tutorials out there on coiling rope. Find some to play with if you want a different style, but it is definitely worth taking the time. You know, I played with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ropes. It took me under 5 minutes to put them all away. That included taking the ties off. So remember, play safe and have fun.